Most people waste their lives trying to be liked, softening their words, shrinking their strength, and accepting disrespect just to stay nice. Today, we will solve a problem that destroys potential: why you're liked by many, but respected by none, and how to transform that weakness into power. Welcome, my friend. Niccolò Machiavelli once warned, "It is far safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But this is not a call to cruelty. It is a call to freedom, to reclaim the authority you gave away by seeking approval. In this lesson, you will learn how to stop chasing affection and instead build something far more valuable: the dark, unshakable power of respect. Listen carefully, because what I am about to reveal is the foundation of all power. The affection of others is the weakest form of influence you can possess. To be liked is to be held by a thread that snaps the moment you no longer serve someone's convenience. People like you as long as you amuse them, benefit them, or fit neatly inside the expectations they have shaped for their comfort. The instant you demand something, the moment you assert your value, or the day you say no, affection evaporates like mist rising from the fields at dawn. This is why Machiavelli warned that affection, though pleasant, is treacherous. The man who builds his life upon the desire to be liked builds his palace upon sand. It looks beautiful in the beginning, but the foundations crumble the moment pressure arrives, and pressure always arrives. People will test you, push you, take from you, and stretch your kindness until it becomes a leash around your neck. Respect, however, is different. Respect is not born from convenience, it is born from strength. It does not depend on others' moods, nor does it dissolve with the arrival of discomfort. Respect is a fortress built of stone, earned slowly, defended fiercely, and admired even by those who dislike you. In fact, the highest form of respect often comes from people who do not like you at all, but who recognize your resolve and dare not cross you. Let me speak to you directly now, as if Machiavelli himself whispers in your ear, whenever you choose to please everyone, you become a slave to everyone. A person who needs to be liked becomes predictable, bendable, and controllable. Others see them not as an equal, but as a resource, a soft place to land, a convenient tool, a voice of reassurance when truth feels too sharp. They will smile to your face, but only as long as you remain harmless. The moment you choose yourself, the moment you show backbone, their affection will turn cold. Such is the nature of human beings. Affection is shallow and fleeting. Respect, on the other hand, is rooted in the recognition of your ability to stand firm even when others prefer you soft. People respect what they cannot easily influence. They respect those whose value is not up for negotiation, whose boundaries are not subject to the tides of emotion, and whose presence does not shrink simply to keep the peace. You see, to be liked, you must bend. To be respected, you must stand straight. And most people, whether they admit it or not, admire the one who stands firm far more than the one who bends for approval. The human mind is drawn not to the agreeable, but to the formidable. Even as children, we remember teachers who were strict but fair, not because they made us comfortable, but because they made us grow. Their discipline shaped us. Their expectations elevated us. We respected them because they demanded something of us, even when we did not like them. This same principle shapes every relationship you will ever have. If you enter the world seeking affection, you will alter your words, your posture, your identity, just to fit the desires of others. That may earn you smiles, but it will steal your strength. You will find yourself drained, confused, and unseen because you taught the world that your value rests on how well you can please them, and the world will believe you. But when you choose respect over popularity, everything changes. People pay attention to your words, they weigh them, they adjust their behavior around you. They hesitate before disappointing you. They think twice before asking for more than they give. Respect does not require you to perform, it requires you to hold your ground, and the moment you do, people begin to treat you differently. Understand this as Machiavelli understood the nature of princes and subjects. It is better to be respected by a few than adored by many. A few allies who truly admire your strength can help you build empires, while large crowds that merely like you will vanish the moment you stop entertaining them. Affection is passive, respect is active. To like someone requires nothing. To respect someone requires acknowledgement of their power, capability, and discipline. Power does not come from being lovable. Power comes from being undeniable. A person who seeks to be liked tries to blend into every environment. A person who commands respect carries the same unshakable identity into every room. The liked one asks, "What must I do so they accept me?" The respected one asks, "What must I maintain so I never betray myself?" In this world, you must choose which master you will serve, the approval of others or the authority of your own principles. The approval seeker gains quick affection, yes, but loses control. The principled one may disappoint others, but gains influence. And influence, unlike affection, does not collapse when tested. People may not always like the principled one, but they will trust them, follow them, and defer to them. There is a truth most people refuse to face because it threatens their comfort. Respect is not born from kindness alone. Respect is born from the willingness to be firm, to be decisive, and yes, at times, to be ruthlessly committed to your own principles. Not cruel, not reckless, but controlled in your strength, unafraid to show the edge of your power when the moment demands it. This is the difference between a person who is merely liked and a person who is unquestionably respected. When Machiavelli wrote that a ruler must not fear to be feared, he was not celebrating violence or hostility. He was revealing a fundamental law of human behavior. People respect what they cannot easily manipulate. They respect those who hold their boundaries even under pressure. They respect those who are capable of saying no, capable of walking away, capable of disappointing others without apologizing for existing. Think about the world we live in. Most people bend at the slightest breeze of disapproval. They apologize for things they didn't do, accept terms that insult their worth, and silence their own needs just to avoid making someone uncomfortable. They believe that their softness will earn affection, and they hope affection will somehow convert into respect. But the human mind does not work that way. Softness earns comfort, not admiration. Those who seek to please become predictable, and predictable people are easily taken for granted. Controlled ruthlessness means that you carry a spine even when the world demands you kneel. It means your kindness is a choice, not a default. It means your patience is a strategy, not a weakness. And most importantly, it means you are willing to make decisions that others might fear to make, decisions that protect your dignity, your time, your goals, and your self-respect. Let me speak to you as Machiavelli would speak to a young ruler rising in a hostile court. If you cannot act decisively, others will act decisively upon you. If you cannot set consequences, others will set them for you. If you fear displeasing people, you will become dependent on their approval, and the moment you depend on someone's approval, you become their subject. Even in modern life, this dynamic holds true. In friendships, in work, in families, in relationships, those who cannot draw lines are stepped on by those who can. Controlled ruthlessness is not about aggression. It is about clarity. It is the clarity to say, this is acceptable and this is not. It is the clarity to enforce a boundary once you declare it. It is the clarity to prioritize your mission, even when someone demands emotional comfort from you. You must understand that when you lead with too much softness, others will not mirror that softness back to you. They will test you. They will push. And if they discover that you are incapable of pushing back, they will take more than they should. Now imagine a different posture, your posture. Imagine you speak with calm firmness. You do not raise your voice, but your words carry weight because they are backed by the willingness to follow through. You do not seek conflict, but you do not run from it either. You make decisions based not on how others will feel, but on what is necessary for your growth, your stability, your destiny. Suddenly, the people around you perceive something new. They see a person who is not easily moved, not easily swayed, not easily guilted or cornered. They begin to tread more carefully. They choose their words with more thought. Their tone shifts. Their assumptions shift. Their behavior shifts. Because they now understand that you are not someone who will crumble under pressure. The greatest leaders in history did not earn respect by being agreeable. They earned respect by showing that their goodwill should never be mistaken for weakness. When they were kind, people valued it. When they were patient, people appreciated it. Why? Because everyone knew they were capable of the opposite. Kindness that comes from strength inspires loyalty. Kindness that comes from fear inspires exploitation. Controlled ruthlessness means you allow yourself the full range of human power. You can be gentle, but you can also be firm. You can forgive, but you can also enforce consequences. You can listen, but you can also command. The average person is stuck in one mode. They are either too soft or too hardened. But the respected individual moves between both modes with strategy. They do not fear being seen as strict, assertive, or demanding when the moment requires it. They do not apologize for the space they take or the standards they hold. They do not disguise their strength to make others feel comfortable. And here is a truth that may surprise you. Even those who pretend to dislike your firmness will rely on it. People feel safe around individuals who possess controlled authority. They trust the decisions of someone who does not waver. They may resist your boundaries at first because boundaries expose their own entitlement. But once the dust settles, they feel steadier in your presence. They know where you stand. They know what you will tolerate. They know what the rules are. There is power in that clarity. A person who embraces controlled ruthlessness becomes unshakable. They become someone others turn to in moments of chaos because they can act when others hesitate. They become someone others avoid betraying because they know the consequences will be real. They become someone whose respect is worth earning because it is not given freely. They become someone whose presence reshapes the behavior of the room without raising a single word. Controlled ruthlessness is not darkness. It is discipline. It is self-respect made visible. It is strength wrapped in calmness. It is the steady hand that guides a ship through a storm. Without it, you are tossed by the waves of people's expectations. With it, you become the captain of your own fate. There is a moment in every person's life when they realize that respect is not taken by force alone, nor granted by charm alone. Respect is carved into the world through boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible walls that tell others how to treat you. They are not spoken once. They are demonstrated through action, reinforced through consistency, and protected through discipline. Without boundaries, even your greatest strengths become invisible. With boundaries, even your quietest presence carries authority. Think of boundaries as the currency of your worth. When you lack them, your value drops. People begin to assume your time is free, your attention is unlimited, your patience is guaranteed, and your kindness is bottomless. They ask without hesitation, they take without guilt, they demand without offering anything in return. Not because they are cruel, but because you never taught them the price of access to you. And make no mistake, everything of value has a price. When you allow yourself to be freely available, you subconsciously declare to the world that your worth requires no investment. A person who wants to be liked fears establishing boundaries. They worry, what if someone gets upset? What if someone pulls away? What if they think I'm harsh? This fear is the soil in which disrespect grows. When people sense that you are afraid to disappoint them, they learn that they can shape your behavior with nothing but displeasure. They learn that a frown is enough to make you fold. And once they learn that, they no longer see you as an equal. They see you as someone to manage, someone to maneuver, someone who exists to maintain harmony, even at the cost of their own self-respect. But the moment you draw a boundary, the entire dynamic shifts. A boundary is a declaration that you have standards, that you have limits, that you have a sense of self that will not be compromised. It is Machiavellian in its essence, a strategic move that reveals strength without needing to display aggression. Boundaries say, I know my worth, and I expect the world to recognize it. They do not require shouting or threats. They require only clarity and courage. Imagine yourself speaking calmly, I am not available at that time. I cannot continue this conversation if it becomes disrespectful. I will help when I can, not when I'm coerced. These are not hostile words. They are signals. Signals that tell others how to treat you, where to step, and where not to step. And the fascinating thing is this: even those who resist your boundaries at first will respect you for them later. People may push against firmness, but they admire it more than they admit. You see, boundaries do not repel the right people, they repel the wrong ones. Those who benefit from your weakness will resent your strength. Those who used your availability will resent your discipline. But those who truly value you will adjust to the new rules. They will rise to meet your standard, and their respect for you will grow because they finally see you not as a resource but as a person with structure, dignity, and self-command. Machiavelli understood that a leader who wishes to maintain authority must clearly define what is acceptable and what is not. A ruler who allows constant intrusion will find their power diluted by familiarity. It is the same in modern life. When people can interrupt you at any time, influence your emotions at will, or sway your decisions through guilt, they begin to feel a subtle superiority over you. They may not speak it aloud, but they sense it. Boundaries restore balance. They remind others that your life has its own architecture, its own rhythm, its own priorities, and that you are not ruled by the desires of anyone who happens to be near. Let us go deeper. Understand this: a boundary without enforcement is simply noise. If you say, "Don't disrespect me, but accept disrespect," the boundary dissolves. If you say, "This is my limit, but allow others to cross it repeatedly," the boundary loses its meaning. True boundaries live in action. They live in what you allow, what you tolerate, what you correct, and what you walk away from. Walking away is one of the strongest forms of boundary enforcement. It is silent, but it is powerful. It says, "My values are not negotiable. My dignity is not for sale. My presence is not guaranteed if I am not treated with respect." Think of how people behave around those who have clear boundaries. They choose their words more carefully. They do not bring chaos into their space. They do not assume entitlement. They do not cross lines casually. Why? Because boundaries create a sense of structure, and structure creates respect. People may not always like a person with boundaries, but they will think twice before disappointing them. They will reconsider before making demands. They will measure the cost of testing you. And here is something important. Boundaries are not walls meant to isolate you. They are gates meant to regulate access. You choose who enters, who stays, and who must leave. You choose what energy you accept and what behavior you refuse. This choice is the essence of power. A person without boundaries cannot choose. They must endure whatever is given to them. Setting boundaries does not require you to be harsh. It requires you to be honest. Honest about what you need, what you expect, what you will and will not allow. Honesty is intimidating to those who benefit from your confusion. But honesty is magnetic to those who seek genuine connection. Because people trust individuals who are clear. They feel safer with someone who knows their limits than someone who says yes to everything and collapses under the weight of resentment later. Think of boundaries as the armor that protects your value. Without them, even your best qualities become vulnerable to misuse. With them, your presence commands a different atmosphere. You become someone whose attention is earned, not assumed. Someone whose time is respected, not taken for granted. Someone whose voice carries weight, not because it is loud, but because it comes from a person who stands firm in their own worth. Listen closely, because here lies one of the deepest secrets of influence. True power is a delicate balance between firmness and unpredictability. To be respected, you cannot be read like an open book. If your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions are predictable, you become a tool for others to manipulate. The moment someone understands the rules of your behavior, they can exploit them. They can use your consistency against you. They can anticipate your concessions, your compliance, and your weaknesses. Predictability, while comfortable, is a trap that the unwary fall into and the clever prey upon. Machiavelli observed that a ruler who appears too transparent is often overthrown because enemies know when to strike. The same principle applies in daily life. When people believe they understand you completely, they assume they have the power to influence you. They will test your limits, push your boundaries, and challenge your decisions, confident in their knowledge of how you will respond. This is why firmness alone is insufficient. Firmness without unpredictability can be cornered. Predictability without firmness can be conquered. True power emerges when you master both. Unpredictability does not mean chaos. It does not mean acting without reason or principle. It means keeping others on notice that your actions are guided by strategy, not by habit. It means that people cannot assume your next move will favor them simply because it favored them yesterday. It means that every word you speak, every decision you make, carries weight precisely because it cannot be anticipated without thought. This forces those around you to respect the weight of your presence because they cannot control it. Consider how unpredictability amplifies the impact of firmness. A person who is rigid in their values but entirely predictable in their reactions can be outmaneuvered. A person who is flexible without firmness becomes a puppet of circumstance. The one who combines these elements, the disciplined unpredictability, commands the attention of allies and adversaries alike. They cannot be taken lightly, dismissed casually, or deceived easily. Every interaction with them is a test of judgment, and that alone elevates their standing. Respect is the natural consequence of such mastery. The world is filled with individuals who crave predictability. They want to know that the person in front of them will always react kindly, always tolerate their flaws, always approve of their desires. These individuals mistake likability for power, charm for influence. But history is full of examples where charm alone failed to protect the ambitious, the clever, and the disciplined. Those who wielded power strategically understood that unpredictability keeps both friends and foes alert. Alertness breeds caution, and caution breeds respect. No one respects the predictable who yields at every request. Firmness and unpredictability together also establish your authority without needing to shout or intimidate. People respect those who are decisive in their principles and unpredictable in execution. They respect the person who can adapt to circumstance without compromising core values. They respect the person whose presence makes others pause and consider, how should I proceed? What will this person do next? That pause is the birthplace of influence. It is where subtle power takes root because respect, unlike fear, grows silently in the mind before it is acknowledged in words or actions. Unpredictability must always be undergirded by firmness. Without it, unpredictability is mistaken for instability, and instability breeds distrust rather than respect. People fear chaos. They admire controlled force. Machiavelli taught that a ruler's stability does not mean inflexibility. It means a consistent adherence to principle while executing actions with strategic variation. In life, this translates to being steadfast in your values but fluid in your methods. You protect what is sacred to you, but you do not reveal every strategy or intention. Others must always calculate, wonder, and measure before engaging with you fully. To cultivate this form of power, one must also learn restraint. Unpredictability is not a license to act impulsively. Firmness is not an excuse to be unyielding in trivial matters. Every decision must serve a purpose. Every shift in behavior must be deliberate. This deliberate approach signals to the world that your presence is not a commodity to be taken for granted. When your moves are rare but decisive, your words carefully measured, and your reactions strategically varied, you create an aura of influence that cannot be ignored. Machiavelli recognized that fear and respect often stem from the unknown. When people cannot predict your limits, your intentions, or your response, they become more cautious. They tread lightly. They speak carefully. They consider consequences before acting. This tension is powerful because it does not require physical force. It requires strategic perception. Power, in its most refined form, is the ability to compel respect without relying solely on coercion. The mind recognizes force when it senses that outcomes are uncertain, yet inevitable if boundaries are crossed. Unpredictability and firmness also reinforce each other in maintaining personal autonomy. When you act without being entirely predictable, others cannot manipulate you easily. When you remain firm in your principles, your unpredictability cannot be twisted into capriciousness. You become the master of your own choices. People adjust to you rather than you adjusting to them. They do not see you as malleable. They see you as a force of nature, someone whose standards, priorities, and judgment cannot be swayed by casual appeals or empty flattery. They must calculate, anticipate, and negotiate with care, which is exactly where the power of respect originates. The combination of unpredictability and firmness also cultivates a subtle form of psychological dominance. People who underestimate you because they believe they know your behavior will quickly discover their error. Those who test your limits will meet consequences they did not foresee. Those who attempt manipulation will find their strategies ineffective. This discrepancy between expectation and reality is potent. It creates a silent acknowledgement of your authority. They recognize that you are neither weak nor easily readable, and that recognition, though unspoken, solidifies their respect. Now, let us gather the lessons from every keynote and see the truth clearly. Being liked is a fragile illusion, a fleeting comfort that vanishes the moment you assert your value. Respect, on the other hand, is power. It is the lasting currency of influence that shapes how the world moves around you. To command respect, you must embrace controlled ruthlessness, holding your decisions, your actions, and your principles with unwavering clarity, while never being afraid to assert the boundaries that define your worth. You must set boundaries that demonstrate your value, teaching others that your time, your attention, and your energy are not freely given. They are earned, and they are precious. And you must understand the subtle art of being both firm and unpredictable, creating a presence that cannot be easily manipulated, anticipated, or diminished. People may not always like you, but they will respect you. They will pause before crossing you, measure their words carefully, and consider the weight of your decisions. Machiavelli's wisdom is timeless. Influence is not built on affection alone. It is built on discipline, strategy, and the courage to place respect above popularity. The world does not reward those who aim to please. It rewards those who know their worth and act with authority. To stop being liked and start being respected is to reclaim your power, to step into a space where your voice carries weight, your presence commands attention, and your life is guided not by the desires of others, but by the unwavering principle of self-mastery. The choice is clear. You can continue chasing approval, bending to the will of others and collecting fleeting smiles, or you can embrace the dark, disciplined path of respect, commanding influence that endures, shaping the world not by charm, but by unshakable authority.